Since 2003, the Heritage of Leadership has posthumously recognized UF Law alumni and faculty who have made outstanding contributions to the university, the state, and the nation. Inductees serve as leading exemplars of the values we stand for as a UF Law community: reverence for the rule of law, commitment to public service, and a desire to use the legal profession to move society forward.
If you chart the history of the state of Florida, and you look at just the sector of significant leaders in government service or in industry, and even in education, you will quickly see that the University of Florida College of Law as an institution has generated many people who've gone on to serve the state in positions of leadership. So if you look at the history of this wonderful state, and you assess who had an impact historically, at least up through this period of time, the University of Florida College of Law is spotted many, many, many times as having been the institution where these servant leaders, men and women, often got their legal training.
The 2017 inductees, Doyle Rogers and George C. Young, truly embody these values.
Doyle Rogers was born in Ocilla, Georgia on August 27, 1928, to Florida Congressman Dwight Lang Rogers and Florence Roberts Rogers.
I grew up as a young lawyer looking at Doyle as someone that was a wonderful model. So I paid attention to what he achieved in his career, and it had an influence on me. If I look at the things I've had a chance to do, I can say Doyle influenced me by example and words and encouragement.
He would receive his UF Law degree in 1952 and then completed a tour in the U.S. Army in 1954. Not long after leaving the Army, Rogers began his legal career at a Palm Beach law firm that came to be known as Alley, Mass, Rogers, and Lindsay. He remained at the firm for his entire 59-year legal career, practicing in wills, estates, and trusts, banking law, general commercial law, and corporate law.
Doyle was definitely a business generator. He was one of the leading business producers in the firm.
And he was wonderful to work with, just a superb professional, always a gentleman, always balanced, cared deeply, but he listened well, and just a model citizen. I really, really felt blessed to know him.
Rogers gave back to his community by serving on numerous boards and civic organizations. He did the same for the University of Florida as a member and president of the UF Law Center Association Board of Trustees. He would also serve as president of the University of Florida Foundation and president of the University of Florida National Alumni Association.
His personality led other people to him. He was very friendly, very outgoing. He had a wonderful smile. Whenever you walked in his office, you were greeted not by a grimace or a grumble, but a smile. He had such a positive personality and was such a good friend to so many people. They came to Doyle and stayed with Doyle throughout his life.
Now, he served his community in many, many capacities. He inherited from his father a tradition of public service, but he served on many, many boards. He was always ready to help when help was needed.
He really is a person who not only celebrated having been a Gator and a lifelong Gator, but also others who were Gators. He loved Florida, he loved the law school. He's a tribute to your university. When I think of the University of Florida, I think of Doyle.
Judge Young was among the finest jurists ever produced by UF Law. He became the first federal judge to serve in the Orlando courthouse of Middle District of Florida. He oversaw cases that helped shape the future of Florida and of the United States.
George Young was a beginning of the beginning and contributed greatly to the state of Florida. He was very bright, Phi Beta Kappa, of course. He had this enormous amount of energy and worked.
In 1962, they decided to create a federal judgeship in Orlando, and George Young was moved from Jacksonville to Orlando to fill that position. That's where he remained for the rest of his judicial career.
He was the longest serving district court judge in the United States of America.
This led him to be the judge who was tasked with deciding to end segregation in the Orlando School District.
The George C. Young United States Courthouse and Federal Building was named after him in 1993. Graduating from UF Law in 1940, Young entered the U.S. Navy as an officer during World War II. He was stationed in the Bahamas and later in the Philippines. After the war, Young joined his friend and fellow UF Law classmate, Senator George C. Smathers, where he served on the senator's staff. In 1961, these political connections led to Young's nomination to the federal bench by President John F. Kennedy. Judge Young's work as a federal judge included key decisions that moved integration forward in Central Florida, and later he presided over cases involving development of Cape Canaveral and the Kennedy Space Center.
He was an excellent judge in every respect. He didn't tire out on you and he didn't get sick on you. Judge Young, George Young, a giant of a man and a giant of a judge. He was a very, very fine man, first of all, and secondly, a splendid judge.